What is up, everybody? Happy Monday, if you can say that. I know it's a Monday, but hopefully everybody had a good weekend. I hope all of you did, every single one of you. I know I did. I went to a record show in Seattle, if you can't tell by the title. Because, of course, being a record collector, I gotta go to a record show. Record shows are awesome. I mean, they're a place where you meet a lot of cool people. You find stuff that you might not normally find just in your day-to-day store digging. And you also see some really high-end stuff that is just cool to see. Maybe you can't afford it like me. Like, for example, I saw They Say I'm Different by Betty Davis, original Sunshine Records press. I could have bought it. I had enough money, but I don't know. It was, for the condition, I didn't really want to pay the money. But anyways, I actually only ended up with 7 records from this show, which I thought I did pretty good. I had money left over in the end. I just kind of had a stack at the end, and I was like, this is good. Like, this is a good amount, and I'm very happy with what I got. I got 7 records. 6 of them were on my want list. That's pretty damn good. And they're all quality records, too. But I ended up going with a friend I met from Reddit. Funny enough, I posted this record in a subreddit, just a picture of it, and he commented on it before I knew him, and he was like, is that from this Seattle shop? And I was like, yeah, it is. And we got to talking a little bit, and we'd been talking since then, showing each other jazz records. He's a big jazz guy. And so we ended up meeting up for the show, and we went in, and he had never really been to a show or much shows. And he had a great time, he said. He found some really, really cool things, a lot of Blue Note. So that was just fun. It was nice to go with somebody and like someone who's looking for similar things as me. And then I also ended up meeting someone who happened to know my channel too. I was digging through some records, and he just kind of looked over at me and he goes, hey man, like, do you have a YouTube channel? I was like, yeah, I do. So that was pretty damn cool. But I do want to apologize to him. I kind of left our conversation abruptly. So if you're watching this, I am sorry for that. I was a little scatterbrained, and there was a record I wanted to check out again to see if I wanted it. And I didn't even ask your name, and I am very sorry for that. That was kind of a dick move. So if you're watching this, shoot me a message. You know who you are. And I'll definitely get back to you. Again, sorry about that, man. But anyways, the reason we're all here is records. So I did buy a few in the days leading up to the show. I tried to really limit how much I was buying so I could save some money for the show, but I did buy a few because they're all really good prices and good deals. Let's get into them then. Gotta have some water first. Gotta stay hydrated, everybody. That's what gets you through the week. Anyways, the first one I bought is Stone Cold Classic. I mean, it's one we probably all have. It might not be for everybody, which is totally fine. But this one I bought because I didn't have a copy, and this seemed like the appropriate copy to get. This is Blood on the Tracks by Mr. Bob Dylan. You know, one of his best albums. But it's in the shrink with the hype sticker. First pressing, Columbia 360 label with the liner notes on the back. It's an amazing record. If you don't know it, go listen to it. Some of his best writing and work on here. But I don't know if I've ever seen a copy with the hype sticker. I don't know how. I'm sure it's not like super uncommon, but I got this for 20 bucks, and it's just spotless. So I'd say it's a good deal. I thought that was a pretty good pickup and the appropriate copy to have. I will not be taking the shrink off that one, by the way, before anybody asks. I like the sticker, so I'm going to keep it on there. But I went back to the same spot a couple days later and bought 2 that I definitely needed to have in my collection. One I've had before, and it's another Stone Cold classic. That is The Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. Original Volt pressing. Now, I've had this before, as I'm sure a lot of us have. And I don't know about any of you, but for me, I feel like I only find really beat to hell copies of this record. But this one is just beautiful. Very, very stoked to find this clean. You know, when it comes to Otis, I really like to find his stuff clean because, you know, there are a lot of softer songs and softer parts. So Very stoked about that. The jacket's okay. There's like a little tear up here. The spine is a little, you definitely can't see that, but the spine is a little discolored and stuff, but the vinyl is clean and that's what matters. And I got this at the same store on the same day as the Otis. Actually the cheapest of the last two. And it's one I have been looking for quite some time. I found out about this record very early on in my jazz collecting, and it was the only copy I had seen up until I got this copy, actually. And so I always kind of regretted not getting that, but I didn't really know it that well. I didn't know Monk that well back then. And that is Solo Monk. I paid $10 for this, and it is just spotless, man. I mean, just super, super clean. $10 for this. I'll show you the vinyl on this one too. Oh man, there seriously is not even a mark on here. I can't find one. I'm trying to find one. There's one like right there, very, very tiny, but it plays so good. I'm seriously super happy. This is a second stereo pressing. It says non-breakable right here on the Columbia, obviously. But an amazing record. If you can't tell, it's Monk playing by himself, which I also love this cover, by the way. It's one of my favorite covers of any record. Because solo Monk, he's solo flying. It's cool. But I Surrender Dear is my favorite off here. It is a ballad and it is beautiful. A lot of kind of ragtimey boppy playing on here as well. But it's really good. And very stoked to add this to my collection. And especially right before a record show for a good price. Now we're moving on to the stuff I got at the show. I got there around 9 a.m. Doors opened at 8. The early bird was from 8 to 10, so I did go for that. And thank God, because it got pretty dang busy there. But I actually didn't end up buying anything for like the first 45 minutes. Because me being me, I'm just all over the place. My brain is all over the place, you know, going through all the info in my head that I know about all the pressings and stuff. And I just bop around looking, making sure I start off like with the right purchases, I guess. You know, I want to spend my money wisely. I'm not made of money, so I don't want to buy something and then like, you know, I go to 2 different booths and I see stuff that I really wish I could have afforded, which wasn't the case this time around. It has been before, but I did very good, I think. This is all I got from this show. So nothing crazy, but the first one that caught my eye is actually one I got for free from the seller because I bundled some records. He just did it. I didn't even ask. He just gave it to me for free. It was marked at $6, which I thought was a fair price regardless. I would have paid it. And that is Right On Brother by Mr. Boogaloo Joe Jones. On that Teal Prestige label that I don't know like anything about. I don't know why this one's teal. It's beside the point. It was marked $6. It's maybe a VG minus. I'd say VG minus, if anything. I think it plays better than that. It just looks that way. But it is a phenomenal record. If you're a fan of jazz funk, you got to check Boogaloo Joe Jones out if you don't know him by now. Great guitarist, really funky guitarist, kind of in the same style as Grant Green, just not the same tone. Style meaning, you know, a lot of soloing, a lot of single note playing. Yeah, he really is great. And this record, the lineup on here, if you like jazz funk, this is like a murderer's row of jazz funk players. You've got Boogaloo Joe Jones on guitar, you know, he's right here. Rusty Bryant on sax, Charlie Earland on organ, Jimmy Lewis on bass, and Bernard Purdy on drums. Killer lineup. And it really shows in the music. It's fun, it's energetic, it's funky. Really great album. Check that one out if you like that kind of stuff. And he's got a couple other albums that I think are phenomenal. The one before this and the one after this are both great. But I did buy this one from that same vendor. Bought Let It Go by Stanley Turrentine. This is an original mono impulse pressing from 1966. And this is also just, you know, super, super clean. That lamination is still on there really nicely. a soul jazz classic, in my opinion. Turrentine, you know, always kind of stayed in that soul jazzy vein. And this is no different. This is probably one of the better sets, in my opinion. You've got Turrentine on tenor. You've got Shirley Scott on organ, Ron Carter on bass, and then, what's his name? Max Simpkins on drums. I don't really know who that is. I need to do some more research on Max Simpkins, but I do like his playing on this record. But just classic quality soul jazz. Chow Chow is my favorite on here. And this is not an expensive record. I mean, you can find this online for cheap too. So, an original mono impulse pressing for cheap. Super cool. And this is the last one I got from this seller. I was very stoked to get this one. It is not a first pressing. It is a second pressing with a different label on it. But it is still mono, still deep groove. But that is Clifford Brown with Strings. A phenomenal record. Like I said, second pressing, deep groove. It's not, no MRC label, it's the Mercury label. But this record is so just tender and soft and romantic and, it's blissful. Clifford Brown is an amazing trumpeter. He was an amazing trumpeter. I wish I could find more of his stuff, especially his Max Roach era stuff. It's all just phenomenal. And I'm not a huge orchestral guy, but this record just makes me melt. This is the kind of record, if you're making dinner with your partner, it's romantic, you want to listen to some jazz, put this record on, and you'll melt your partner's heart too. Great record, super stoked to have it. Very, very clean as well. So that's another big thing. So I went over to another booth, was digging through some records in the front. In front of the boxes actually, and this is a record I've been looking for the longest time. It's not rare, it's not expensive, but I could not find it. I think we all might have those records where they're not like the hardest records to find, but good lord, you just can't find them. And that is In the Skies by Peter Green. Yeah, I saw this in the front, dig in, and boom, took it out. I was like, take my money, just take it as fast as you can. This is a phenomenal record, though. Later era, later 70s release by Peter Green. You've got Peter on here and Snowy White playing guitar. Snowy White, you know, did some work with Pink Floyd. Obviously worked on this record. But, man, this record's so good. My partner showed me this record. I was familiar with, obviously, you know, the Fleetwood Mac era Peter Green at this point, but I didn't know his solo stuff that well. The song Slobode on here is just a funky grooving instrumental jam. A Fool No More is just a slow burning blues song. You've got In the Skies, which is a great opener. Proud Pinto, which is another funky Latin-y kind of jam. This record is awesome, and this vinyl on here is just as clean as could be too. That's another thing, is I got all these pretty damn clean. Very stoked about that. But a great record. If you don't know this record, check it out. It's actually the only rock record I bought too at the show. Now the next one, I cannot believe I got for the price I got it at. It was originally $25, which would have already been a killer deal. But I got this for $20 because I went to go pay for it, and the seller was like, I don't have any change, so if you just give me a 20, that's fine. So that's what I did. And it was funny because I was looking through his jazz section, and it wasn't big. It was like one little box. And he was like, hey, I've got some like more jazz back here if you want to take a look. And it was right on top. And I was like, I will take that. Excuse me. That is Lee Morgan, the Final Session, or self-titled Lee Morgan album. Now, I know later era Lee Morgan doesn't get talked about a lot, but this record is truly amazing. I am in love with this record. I am so happy I got this clean. I mean, super shiny still. This is post-bop, it's spiritual jazz, it's a little bit of funk, a little bit of fusion, modal jazz. Done so well. I mean, you've got the opening song, Capra Black, which is amazing. Billy Harper on sax for that one, who wrote the song, who later went on to record the album Capra Black for Strata East. So if that tells you anything about kind of the the general vibe on here. You've got a young Bobby Humphrey. I think it was her first Blue Note session, and she recorded her solo like a week later. What else? You've got In What Direction Are You Headed? It's another long, just great kind of fusiony at times. Also funky, but also straight up just modal post boppiness. Man, Angela and Croquet Ballet, excuse me. Um, Two of the shorter songs on here. I think Angela might be the weakest. It was written by Jimmy Merritt for the album. Croquet Ballet by Billy Harper again is a great song. But then it ends with Inner Passions Out, which is a kind of a hauntingly spiritual song. And, you know, they didn't know this would be Lee's last session, studio session. But it, by the sound of the music, you would think that they did. It is amazing. I love this album so much. I got this for $20 and I couldn't be more happy with it. I thought that was probably, that might be my best pickup. I don't know. I think so, especially for the price. But next is actually the record. When I was talking with that guy, I went back over and took a look at this because I actually had missed this. I was looking at a different record. But I saw this, don't know how I missed it. That is One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic. Original Warner Bros. Press. Also, with the 45. Super cool. What is there to say about this album? It's amazingly funky. It's amazingly fun. It's Funkadelic, baby. That's it. That's all there is to it. Artwork is always, you know, indicative of what's on the album. Craziness, crazy funkiness, out there spacey funkiness. Inner Gatefold, you know, it's getting harder around here to find Funkadelic Parliament stuff. And usually whenever I see it for a pretty good price, I'll pick it up. I mean, I don't really have much right now, but this is one I was sorely missing out on. Anyways, the last one I got is another great album. It was actually like one of the first big records I saw when I got there, and I was like, oh, I do not have that. I should probably buy this. But it was actually the most expensive of all the records by $2. And I just decided to keep looking. And then I kind of came back towards the end of the show, and I was like, I should probably get that. A lot of people consider this their favorite by this artist, and that is Otis Blue. Otis sings soul, and it is an amazing album. I do love this album dearly, but the Soul album is my favorite Otis Redding song. Cigarettes and Coffee is on that album, and that is my favorite Otis Redding song. That song just gets me right here every time. But original Volt pressing, stereo pressing. Wish it was a mono, that'd be amazing. And it is an amazing album, and this is a pretty nice copy of this record. I paid $40 for this, so this was the most expensive buy. But I don't regret it at all, because whenever I see this record, it's usually, again, beat to hell. Because people played their Otis Redding albums, because Otis Redding is amazing, was amazing, whatever you want to say. But, you know, you've got Respect on here, you've got Loving You Too Long, My Girl, Satisfaction. My favorites are Old Man Trouble, the opening track, and Loving You Too Long. That's a phenomenal song. But yeah, this was the one that closed it out. And I thought it was a pretty dang good one for that. But that's all I got. I didn't get too much, but I think everything I got was pretty quality, in my opinion. I mean, again, six of them were on my want list, and I got to knock off 6 off my want list. Doesn't happen too often, you know. A lot of times I go out to stores and I'll just see stuff that I kind of forget about that isn't on my want list, and I'll just get that. So very stoked about that. Also, thank you guys to everybody for all the support and the comments and everything. It's been a lot of fun talking to all of you. I try to respond to all the comments. I just think it's fun to talk to people about music and such. Yeah, thank you guys so much. It does mean a lot to me. And I said it before, I don't do this, you know, for view counts or subscribers or anything. I just genuinely love music. And I like it in a physical format like vinyl. and it's just fun showing them off. And I like hearing what people like. I like hearing if people checked out some things I recommended or anything. But yeah, thank you guys. Hope everybody has a great rest of their week. I'll be back again soon with more records. How I always do it, you know. Take care, everybody, and take it easy.